With Carti being known as one of the most evil rappers in current times, it probably doesn't come as a surprise when I tell you he perfectly represents each individual one of the 7 deadly sins. So I'll be going through each one and explaining how Carti embodies them. And let's start it off with a sin you may not expect Carti to commit. Gluttony is defined as excess in eating and drinking. Now, with Carti being quite slim in build, showing us he doesn't really indulge in food, with associates even revealing he only eats chips and Sour Patch candy, the same cannot be said about certain substances. With him repeating 34 times on Teen X, I'm on the X, I'm on the codeine, I think we can say Carti has a taste for X and codeine. On this song, he even proudly admits he has a lean gut, with fans even clowning him for his belly online. And once he even straight up walked into a pharmacy and asked them if he could have some.
Hey, excuse me. I was trying to get some activists.
Manufacturer. What's the drug?
I need some lean.
And if you didn't know, a lean gut is quite disgustingly literally a build-up of the brown stuff and water that the body can't process, with it seeming like Carti suffers of constipation. This gluttony even led Carti to some trouble in 2020, as on the 2nd of April, Clayton County deputies pulled him over in a black Lamborghini because the tire was expired. A quick look inside by the officers showed them 12 vacuum sealed bags of weed, 3 loaded handguns, a bottle of codeine, Xanax bars and oxycodone pills scattered on the floor of the car. Carti and the passenger, Jalen Tucker, also known as Opium Baby, were arrested on the spot. Carti caught 2 traffic charges plus a misdemeanor drug count, while Jay faced 6 felonies for the heavier stash, with both of them spending the night in Clayton County Jail before Carti bonded out the next morning. Now, even this gluttony of illegal substances isn't really anything too serious, as the only consequence Carti may face from this is liver failure in the next couple years, but the next sin we are going to cover has led Carti to spending many nights in jail and hurting other people very badly. Wrath, uncontrolled anger and a desire for vengeance, often leading to destructive actions. Back in July 2017, he was arrested at LAX after an altercation with then girlfriend Ruby Rose. Witnesses told police he shoved her outside the terminal, grabbed her backpack and forced her into an Uber. He spent the night in jail on a misdemeanor domestic battery charge before posting a $20,000 bail, with the charges in the end being dropped. Just weeks later, across the Atlantic Ocean in London, during a night out at Soho Club China White, Carti unleashed 6 punches on a security guard who told him he's not allowed to smoke inside. An outburst that cost him a £14,000 fine and £100 in damages to the bouncer. And Carti would reappear in the UK courts just a week later, this time for another incident on tour but in Scotland. During the European leg of his 2018 tour, Carti's temper boiled over at a motorway service station in Gretna. A faulty heater on the double-decker coach taking him to the next show sparked an argument, when the driver couldn't get the system working. Carti punched the driver hard enough to cut his face, then smashed a side window of the luxury bus before storming off. In the January of 2019, the Dumfries Justice of the Peace Corps found him guilty of assault and criminal damage, fining him upwards of £800 for the blow and £300 for the broken glass, after a witness testified that Carti swung first, while the rapper's own tour managers tried, unsuccessfully, to claim he'd acted out in self-defense. But wrath was yet to reach its ugliest point, as in 2022, Carti would once again find himself in legal trouble, but this time much worse than anything else he'd found himself in. On the evening of the 20th of December in 2022, Carti and his girlfriend, Instagram model Brandy, 14 weeks pregnant at the time with his daughter Eve, the two argued in the driveway over a paternity test, which escalated into something much worse. Brandy told police Carti grabbed her by the throat and pushed her, holding her neck until she could barely breathe. She even said she thought she was going to die. When she was able to finally escape Carti's grasp, she ran to her car, where she claimed he attacked her again. She told police Carti tried pulling her out of the car and put his hand over her mouth as she tried to use the vehicle's SOS feature to call for emergency services. When they finally arrived, police say the woman had visible injuries to her neck, chest and back. Carti was booked on a felony aggravated assault and hindering an emergency call. Carti's attorney, Brian Steele, issued a blanket denial. Jordan was falsely accused, with him adding that this case will be dismissed without any prosecution or litigation. This completes a 4-point pattern. Airports, nightclubs, highways, and his own driveway, every space becomes a stage for the same trigger rage whenever someone challenges him. Wrath in Carti's story isn't just a one-off flare-up, it's a reoccurring headline, with there being multiple other witnesses online sharing their violent affairs with Carti. Envy, a discontent and resentment towards someone else's possessions, qualities, or good fortune, with an insatiable desire to have them for oneself. Playboi Carti and Pierre Bourne are one of the most popular rapper-producer duos coming out of the SoundCloud era, with Pierre basically producing the majority of the self-titled mixtape and Carti's debut album Die Lit, with him even getting some placements on his 2020 project Whole Lotta Red. Now, even though it seemed like the two were on good terms after the release of the album, things got tense a couple months into 2021. On the 2nd of April, Pierre finally dropped a single fans had been begging For You, the long teased track once nicknamed PlayStation, with it being the first official release from his Life of Pierre 5 rollout. However, barely an hour later, Carti blindsided the internet with the Sky music video from Whole Lotta Red, of course trending all over Twitter. This felt deliberate. Whole Lotta Red dropped 4 months ago, and Carti now decided to drop it randomly in April, the same day as Pierre dropped a single. This obviously had Pierre feeling some type of way, which led to him sending out a tweet: "They really don't want to see me glow." And it seemed like the flash of resentment came from a deeper backlog of things he wanted to say in regards to Carti. When Whole Lotta Red premiered 4 months earlier, he found himself credited on only 2 tracks, with fans anticipating he would produce way more. He'd already posted and wiped a string of disappointed tweets back then, and surprise, Sky Drop was the last straw for fans who sensed Carti couldn't let his closest partner have this moment. So while the world saw the two winning on the same Friday, behind the scenes, Carti's need to reclaim the spotlight was a very selfish act, perfectly embodying the sin of envy. The sin of pride is an excessive love of oneself, characterized by arrogance, vanity, and a lack of humility, which matches perfectly to Carti and his non-existent relationship with his firstborn son, Onyx, with rapper Iggy Azalea. And the funny thing is, Carti's deadbeat behavior somehow started before the child was even born. When Onyx was being delivered by a scheduled C-section in the May of 2020, Carti never made it to the hospital. Instead, he was in Philadelphia playing the PlayStation with Lil Uzi Vert, and supposedly couldn't be bothered according to Iggy Azalea. She added that he still refuses to sign their son's birth certificate even after she delivered alone under COVID rules.
This man didn't even come to see his son be born. He went to Philly to play the PlayStation with Lil Uzi. He thought that was more important than seeing his son be born. And I had a scheduled C-section, by the way, because my son was so big that they were like, you can't have a natural birth.
This pattern kept going. A couple months later, on Christmas Day the same year, instead of spending his first holiday with Onyx, Carti flew to Atlanta for a Whole Lotta Red listening party, prompting Iggy's public blast, "Too bad you got an album out but can't even come to Christmas with your own son." Jump to July 2024 and nothing has changed. On a podcast, Iggy called herself very much the only parent, saying Carti hadn't shown up for months and that she was not co-parenting really, that's just a reality. Fast forward to the January of 2025, she said that her and Onyx haven't heard from that man in over 6 months and don't know where he is.
Speak to him, my love. We haven't heard from that man in over like 6 months. We don't know where he is. I don't have no idea, have no association. You would have to tell somebody that cares, that speaks to wherever he is. We don't know or care.
And the worst part is, Carti brags about this narcissistic personality all the way throughout his career. Of course, most notably his unreleased 2021 album, which he titled Narcissist, where fans even began making edits using clips of Iggy Azalea calling him a narcissist and putting them as the intro of his songs. And even with his most recent album, Carti has a clear self-obsession with himself, titling the album I Am Music, basically claiming he is the art form. The next sin we are going to delve into is greed, the immoderate love or desire for riches and earthly possessions. Probably the most infamous example of this in Carti's career was the incident on stream with Aiden Ross, where he finessed him for a sum of cash. Aiden says he offered Carti roughly $2 million and a brand new Ferrari in exchange for a full sit-down interview on stream. However, Carti showed up after hours of delays, collecting a duffel bag of cash on camera, appearing for a total of around 6 minutes, with the majority of it being him dancing. He then vanished, ignoring every follow-up text and leaving Ross to admit on stream, "I think I got played." Aiden then said he cancelled Carti's private jet he booked for him, apparently leaving him stranded at the airport for 10 hours. Some sort of karma, I suppose. But Carti did still make $2 million in 6 minutes. However, unfortunately for Carti, the actual cash handed him in the duffel bag was supposedly a much smaller amount. But this greed has always been a personality trait of Carti. Long before the fame, producer Milan Makes Beats exposed Carti as he used his beats without permission and never paid a dollar or gave credit. The producer only discovered the theft when he heard the beat playing on Ian Connor's Periscope. This led to Milan confronting Carti on Twitter, which led to Carti sending threats back and even messaging Milan's friends asking for his location, presumably to jump and rob him. Lust is often defined as a sinful, excessive or disordered desire, particularly for sexual pleasure. It's reckless desire that leaves destruction in its path, and for Playboi Carti, it didn't just destroy his relationship with Iggy Azalea, it exposed a whole pattern of selfishness that ran deeper than anyone thought. While Iggy was pregnant with their son Onyx in late 2019, Carti wasn't acting like an expectant father. Instead, he was allegedly sneaking around, cheating with a woman who knew full well he had a pregnant girlfriend waiting at home. According to Iggy, Carti even had a pregnancy scare with that woman's friend, barely 5 months into Iggy's pregnancy. After the first scandal, things only got worse. By early 2020, Carti was seriously involved with another woman, Brandy Marion, while still pretending publicly to be with Iggy. Brandy claimed she didn't know Carti and Iggy were together, but she fired back online, posting that Brandy had absolutely known and had been lurking around Carti for months. Iggy later revealed that while she was staying elsewhere with Onyx for a short time after giving birth, Carti used the opportunity to secretly move Brandy into their house, literally locking Iggy's belongings in a spare bedroom so he could set up his new life with a side chick. The real explosion came in December of 2020. Instead of spending Christmas with his newborn son and Iggy, Carti threw a Holiday Red release party and allegedly invited Brandy to celebrate with him, rubbing the betrayal right in Iggy's face. And furious, she aired it all out on Twitter. "Imagine not flying out your family for Christmas, but you have the girl you cheated on me, my entire pregnancy at your album party. Trash." Even after everything, Carti kept the lies coming. Iggy shared that he had texted her the night before the party, telling her he loved her and acting like he wanted to fix their family, only to go public the next day celebrating with Brandy instead. When fans uncovered that Brandy had attended the listening event, she tried to defend herself online, claiming ignorance. "I would never knowingly be with someone that's in a relationship," but Iggy wasn't buying it and made sure everyone knew. She posted video clips of her friends kicking Brandy out of Carti's house at 3 AM, adding, "You're getting kicked out like the side chick you are, Merry Christmas." In the end, Carti's reckless lust wasn't just a betrayal. It was calculated selfishness. He risked the birth of his child, his relationship, and his public reputation just to chase a fleeting hookup, and when the truth came out, he didn't defend Iggy or deny it. He simply moved on, as if none of it mattered, because in reality, he did not care at all. Sloth is a sin of wasted potential, when someone could act but chooses not to, and if there's one area where Playboi Carti has perfected the art of doing less, It's the long, painful gaps between his album releases. Carti's procrastination showed up early. Hype for his debut mixtape started way back in 2015, when Ian Connor teased Carti the mixtape coming soon. Fans expected a release that year, but Carti spent 2016 bouncing between SoundCloud singles with no real project in sight. At an interview at South by Southwest in 2016, Lil Yachty even pressed Carti about it, and Carti shrugged it off to producer problems, claiming he needed one producer dedicated solely to crafting his sound. After more than 2 years of scattered hints and broken promises, the self-titled Playboi Carti tape finally dropped on the 14th of April in 2017. What was teased as soon in 2015 dragged out into an agonizing wait, and fans were already noticing Carti's pattern: build hype, disappear, and leave fans hanging. Unfortunately, the same cycle would repeat, but worse with Whole Lotta Red. Following the success of Die Lit in 2018, Carti began teasing Whole Lotta Red almost immediately. By mid-2018, the title was confirmed, and in 2019, Carti claimed he would drop the album within 60 days during a Milwaukee concert. The crowd roared, but of course, 60 days came and went, and nothing dropped. In interviews, Carti offered vague justifications. He told Fader he was chasing perfection, implying that delays are about quality, but to fans it was clear Carti was stalling. Throughout 2019 and into 2020, he dropped snippets on Instagram Live, previewed unreleased tracks, and promised Whole Lotta Red was on the way. But months passed, then a year. The trolling got so bad that in the December of 2020, rising rapper Mario Judah dropped his own Whole Lotta Red parody, mocking Carti's inability to release his album. Only then, finally, did Carti drop the real Whole Lotta Red on Christmas Day 2020, nearly 3 years after he teased it. It was clear, for every actual album, Carti delivered years of no-shows, fake deadlines and excuses, and somehow Whole Lotta Red wasn't even the worst offender. After Whole Lotta Red dropped, he suggested to fans that he was going to drop a deluxe and even asked them what songs they wanted on it, but that ended up not happening, and then in 2021, he began hyping a brand new project. As he posted, "Let's drop this new album, we not done." Fans took it seriously. By August 2021, Carti revealed the album's name, Narcissist, setting a release date of September the 13th, 2021, his own birthday. Billboards went up, merch dropped, tour dates were announced. It looked real, but September 13 came and went, and there was no album. Carti scrambled for excuses, first claiming his website was hacked, then blaming sample clearances. He even tweeted "drop Narcissist" as if someone else was holding the project hostage. But everyone could see what it really was. Carti lied again. And eventually, over 2022 and 23, the Narcissist project became a running joke. Carti would then promise that the album was finished soon, over and over again, eventually completely changing the album's name to simply Music, saying that's all it is at this point, and yet still nothing. He teased songs like Wicked in interviews but never released them. Months later, a tour was announced to accompany the album, only for it to be postponed and then completely cancelled. Every few months, Carti baited his fanbase with vague posts. In the December of 2022, he posted a cover art on Instagram and told fans, "Love my supporters, it's time." Fans assumed the album was dropping any day, but it wasn't. There was no release, no apology, just more silence. Even into 2024, Carti posted clips, videos, and even music on his Instagram, but no album dropped. Festival dates were announced, then cancelled, new cover art leaked, and still no album. Finally, years of pump faking, music dropped in the March of 2025, almost 4 full years after he first teased it. Even then, the release was delayed a few more hours past midnight, with Carti blaming technical problems relating to a Young Thug feature. By this point, fans had seen it all. A project teased in mid-2021, promised for September 2021, missing dozens of imaginary deadlines across the years, and finally, after endless no-shows and broken promises, crawling to release in 2025. With the only real apology fans got throughout all of this trauma was when he released a deluxe to the album, which was titled "Sorry for the Wait." Musical sloth at the highest level, because many fans argued that there was no need for a 5-year wait. Carti could have dropped when the projects were ready, he could have kept fans updated, he could have honoured his promises. Instead, he coasted on the hype, let expectations to rot, and treated deadlines like jokes. So that's the 7 deadly sins of Playboi Carti. Let me know if I missed any out or that I should have added to a certain sin. Hope you guys enjoyed. Like, subscribe, comment, have a great day, and I'll see you guys in the next one.